Hi, everyone, and welcome back to yet another cracking edition of The Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series where we're talking to CEOs all about their epic business failures. And with us in the hot seat today is the CEO of a very cool company called Stocktwits, and his name is none other than Rishi Khanna. Rishi, welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, bud. So look, you know what's coming, right? So let's hit us up with the elevator pitch. What exactly are you guys up to there at Stocktwits?
Yeah, so Stocktwits was the original social platform to connect individual investors and traders across the world to connect about all things markets, right? So stocks and crypto today as well. And we've been at the forefront of building the community of retail investors and traders. Stocktwits was founded back in 2009, so we've been around for a bit. We actually invented the cash tag, which is now pretty common across the internet. Our focus now today is kind of expanding the value we deliver to our community across their investing needs, and also expanding geographically and covering more markets across the world. And now we also offer trading, and we'll continue to expand kind of the types of assets you can trade on the platform. So really delivering value to our community and connecting them to help them learn, profit, and have fun while doing it, all in the markets.
Mm-hmm. And are these guys accredited investors, or are they sort of like retail investors?
Yeah, retail, across the board, right? So this is really about, its foundations are in the stock market, right? So you don't need to be accredited to play there. And it is, we have millions of users across it. Some are accredited, but many are not.
So Rishi, what is your epic story of fail for our audience around the world today?
When you asked me this question, I started thinking about it, and a lot of choices on the resume. I've been an entrepreneur most of my career, so I have a long list to choose from, and a lot of different categories. And what I decided to focus on, I wanted to share the story, kind of the current one with my time at Stocktwits, where I joined in January 2020 and took over then. And one of the opportunities I noticed right away for Stocktwits, and it's ubiquitous in social media land, is kind of the content landscape and how to make entering a social media platform and experiencing it accessible to new users, especially. And that fundamentally comes down to challenges around the content discovery and content quality and content moderation. Stocktwits, for its entire history, and even up until very recently, has been very much a reverse cron feed. So, it was born out of the style of Twitter. But, Stocktwits still, for the most part, the experience today is you're experiencing the feed, just whatever's the latest post on a stock or in a board is the thing at the top, right? And so it's not algorithmic, there's no content discovery there. You have to just kind of understand what you're getting into. And that makes it really hard for new users. And, it was an obvious thing that was at the top of my list when I took over as CEO as one of the things we need to address. And, long story short, the failure was I just waited way too long to address it. I didn't address it right away. We didn't even, we talked about it internally. But I think, I didn't address it. I was worried about, it's a big change. A lot of users like the reverse cron. And so, being, kind of hesitant to disappoint long-standing users, again, a platform that's been around for, at that point, 11 years. And then also, the challenges of content moderation, and that is a never-ending battle for user-generated content platforms. And we don't have nearly the resources of a Twitter or a Facebook or one of these other large places. So not tackling that soon enough is one of those things where it made it harder as we kept getting new users and more users, for them to come and stay on the platform and stay engaged with the product, and we weren't making it easier. We were doing a lot of other things and doing a lot of other things well, but I didn't invest in that kind of soon enough, and I wasn't making kind of that part easier.
Understood. So what did that whole experience teach you, Rishi? What do you kind of take forward with you now as CEO of Stocktwits?
Yeah, I think, one of the things it taught me, and really maybe more so reinforced, is you can't shy away from change. You can't be fearful of that. That was probably a big element for, kind of proverbially kicking the can down the road there was, hey, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Our core users, they know what the experience is. They like it. But again, it wasn't helping the new users. And we got millions of new users every year, right? So it wasn't helping them. And so it reinforced that change is hard. It reinforced the learning, especially for consumer companies. But I think, I've spent a lot of my career also in enterprise SaaS and whatnot. But users hate change. They're always going to hate change. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. They're going to hate it right out the bat because it's not what they're used to. And so, the learning is you can't be afraid of that. You got to be able to tackle that head on and understand that that's how it is. I think the other big learning for me, and this is, one of the things I say is an important job of the CEO, is the big learning was I was, too conservative with kind of resources and allocating, kind of the right resources to tackle some of these fundamental challenges and take on these fundamental opportunities. We were in the midst of, COVID, a lot of uncertainty in the world. And while we had, had the resources and whatnot, I wasn't willing to, get aggressive about it for some of these fundamental opportunities. And so my learning was, you gotta know when to kind of make some of these bets, and especially, the bets that, will pay dividends over time and, essentially like compound interest, right? I mean, you fix some of these fundamental challenges and you take on some of these fundamental challenges. The sooner you take them on, the longer they'll pay the dividends out, right?
Yeah. It's compounded, It's like compounded interest, so to speak.
Yeah. And in consumer world, it makes a difference, I think.
It does. So Rishi, if you could get into the Matt Brown Show time machine and kind of go back in time, given everything you've just said and with the luxury and privilege of hindsight, what would you do differently and why? Yeah,
I mean, fundamentally, obviously I would want to solve this problem sooner, right? But, kind of how would I, go about that, and what would I do differently is, I think I would really kind of maybe spend more time with the new parts of the community and figure out how to spend more time with new parts of the community. I think, we were spending not too much of our time, but our focus was on, kind of the long-standing members and the, existing community that was there, which is obviously also extremely important. But we didn't, spend enough time with the new folks that were coming, and why were they coming, and what were they experiencing, and why were they, maybe not staying or staying. So how, spending more time to understand kind of the importance of this opportunity and fixing this problem sooner. Understanding maybe kind of other ways that we want to solve it, which we are now doing. I mean, we've launched some of the solutions, and we're still working on it today. So it's not nearly done in any way, shape, or form. But so I'd spend more time, I think, with the cohort that this matters the most to. Both as an individual in terms of talking to these users, but also, from the company's perspective, like, hey, have the team know, we have community member teams, we have our product teams, have them know that, hey guys, we should be, trying to understand this part of it better. And, so I'd spend more time there. And I would, kind of really invest in that sooner, knowing that, as I said, investing that now will pay the long-term dividends. And those are the two big, kind of, I think, takeaways of if I could go back of how I would kind of address this challenge and take this on. But, it comes down to getting the right people on the team and talking to the right people from the product perspective sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. And putting the right people in the right bus seats, right?
Yeah, I mean, always important.
Those bus seats change.
And they keep changing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Buses are like transformers.
Our work is never done.
Never.
Well, what is your advice then, Rishi, in terms of, to other CEOs and entrepreneurs about the importance of failing or failure in becoming successful as a business?
Yeah. So, what I'll first say is failure is a part of the game, right? And we have to accept that failure is there. None of us are perfect. None of us have 100% batting averages. And so failure is, the opportunity to learn. It's actually much harder to learn from successes, I think, than it is from failures. I think many of us know that and have learned that. But I think fundamentally, I also was thinking about this question from the vantage point of, when teams are failing and or maybe, when you have a turnaround situation or a team that's struggling, whether it's the whole company or a specific team, I think, you have to get out of the mindset of failure. And so the advice I gave and the saying I used when I took over as Stocktwits, because we had a lot of challenges when I took over, and we had that compounded by the challenges of COVID, is that small wins equal big things. And so how do you change the culture and the mindset from failure to winning, right? And so you don't have to worry about hitting home runs. You don't have to worry about hitting grand slams, right? I think it's about small wins. Just get the wins on the board. You start to build the confidence, in your team, in your organization, and whichever part where the struggle is. And going back to my theme of compounding, those small wins equal big things. And so I think, the biggest challenge I've seen, in failure is turning that around. Not the biggest, but definitely an important challenge I've seen in failure is how to turn it around, how to get out of that. And I think it has to, start with that culture where you have to focus, right? I mean, I think when you're in that state, you can't try to do a lot. You have to actually really focus on one or two things and really focus on getting those things and winning on those. And so, that's the saying I like to use: small wins equal big things. And I think that's how, we get out of, we help our teams, help individuals, help your company get out of, a potentially, tough cycles of failure.
It's really good advice. It's like, it's the same idea, I suppose, as, how do you move a mountain? You can start with small stones, right?
Exactly.
I think some of us fall into this sort of intellectual trap of trying to move the mountain because we think we can, but actually all that does is, fuck up your day because it's anxiety and it's...
Yeah, and I think it's much easier to imagine what the mountain looks like when it's moved, right? When it's done being moved. That's obviously much better in a deck, in a pitch deck, in a PowerPoint deck, whatever. Looks much prettier, much sexier, right? But the hard work between where the mountain started and where the mountain ended is where you got to roll up your sleeves and do it piece by piece.
Yeah, brother. Speaking the truth today. What about books and tools and resources or that you recommend to other CEOs? What comes to mind? I'm a big believer. The CEO job, the founder job is it's a tough job. It's a lonely job, right? Because you don't have, you can't necessarily like communicate everything to, your colleagues and your exec teams and stuff in the same way. And so, my biggest advice as a founder and CEO from a learning and where to go is seek out other founders, seek out other CEOs, right? I'm fortunate to have a network both over the duration of my career of building, individuals that are now in similar positions, CEOs, leadership roles, founders of other companies. But also, when you're in that position, it's, I think a lot of the founder CEO community is actually very supportive. If you find somebody that, they seem like, they're having similar challenges or they've gone through similar things, reach out, find the people that have, kind of been in it before, right? I think my challenge with, some of, there's an explosion of content, and when, you're reading it from folks that maybe haven't done it before, it's a little tougher to, kind of connect with that. But I think if you seek out, a network of, peers in the form of other CEOs, other founders, or former founders and former CEOs, right, that have been through it, that's an amazing source of, kind of knowledge. There are existing networks out there that actually cater to it. But, I think also just building your own personal network and, finding people you trust, whether it's longtime friends or longtime ex-colleagues, from 20 years ago. I mean, I still talk to, some of my closest kind of resources are other CEOs where we, worked together literally 20 years ago. And now, now we're in, various but similar situations and we lean on each other to learn and tackle, all the different challenges that we face as CEOs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good advice. I think the other thing to add there is like, I think the pride is our biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Right? Because like no one wants to ask for help. No one wants to be vulnerable. And it's like this weird patriarchal men don't cry in front of their horses,
Yeah.
Suck it up, man up.
And it's
You know what I
a
mean?
little bit exasperated, I think, by the notion of, and granted, I run a social media platform, but, hey, you have to always be out there. Hey, we're killing it. We're doing great. We're doing this, we're doing that. And that the culture of portraying success at all times and portraying, winning at all times is, we clearly know it's not healthy. But it makes it, harder to just simply ask for help and be like, hey, I got this thing I'm struggling with, and, it's a big problem. I think we're evolving from that. I mean, I will say and maybe it's a function of coming out of this, 12, 15-year bull market run that we've had. And now more and more people are experiencing challenges and failures. And so they know other people are. Like, we know it's not, roses and sunshine across the world right now, right? Especially in tech land and startup land. And so, I think maybe that's making more people comfortable, because I have noticed more and more, friends reach out, be like, hey, XYZ challenge or ABC challenge, and it's, not going well, can we talk, right? Or whatever. So I do think getting over that is important, and, just accepting that we've all been through this. No one's ride has ever been like this. I think, it was Fred Wilson, maybe from Union Square Ventures, who had I think it was him that did the chart, but maybe not, internet don't kill me. But, the path to success is like, super squiggly line.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like straight line.
Yeah, it's a stock market graph.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. Well, Rishi, great chatting to you, brother. You guys are doing some cool stuff over there. I just love talking to you. You've got a lot of truth bombs that you've released on this episode. So thanks for coming on the show, man. And also like getting over your own pride. You know what I mean? It's like and sharing your own story of failure, man. It would definitely made a difference, I'm sure.
Well, thank you, Matt, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, and great chatting with you as well. And keep spreading the word that, hey, it's okay to fail, and we got to just learn from it and share them.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Rishi, all the best, brother. Thanks, everybody.